prison gangs work for the state, or they directly, or they do work for the state. So they're not going to get in a case and testify for plaintiff. And I was very critical of, and for good reason, for the expert witness that the plaintiffs used, but he was really the only one in a correctional setting who testified for plaintiffs. And I apologize for my voice, I have a cough and whatever. And I just got the feeling of that in this case, that you are in a position, because I was in a position where I would have expert witnesses who were not really typically testifying expert witnesses. They knew a lot about prison gangs or something like that, but they didn't usually testify. And they had a whole different approach to these things. And my difficulty was getting them to be more careful about what they said. It was, I think, different than Kevin Urich's difficulty. But what struck me was, you might remember, and I've been talking about this a lot lately, about how, what was her name? Oh, forgetting her name. The person from the Innocence Project that Sarah Koenig interviewed. Deirdre. And she said that an innocent person is the worst person you could have as a client when you're a defense attorney, because they don't know anything. I thought, that's so true. I thought about that for a second with an alibi. They don't know what they have to avoid. If they committed the crime, they know where they did it. They just need to get themselves someplace else. They need to do something else. So it's almost simpler if you're guilty to get away with it, in a way. And that's what struck me when we're talking about expert witnesses. Someone who qualifies as an expert witness to testify at trial, the worst person to do that typically is someone who's never done it before. Unless you're trying to pull something over on people. Then the person who's never done it before is perfect, because you can manipulate, massage, whatever their testimony in such a way that you can plant seeds or get enough of a colorable basis to make an argument to say what your argument really is. Because in that circumstance, you're not trying to get the expert witness at trial to say what your argument really is. You're trying to plant some seeds so that in closing you can make your real argument, which actually isn't supported by the expert testimony. And that makes a lot more sense out of this. If you check out on the Undisclosed podcast, they actually have the report that Kevin Urich wrote. Urich, I think I'm mispronouncing it. Anyway, he wrote that report, the oral one where the expert said stuff out loud and they wrote it down. And I can just imagine this guy who's never testified before, who's the legal field, the courtroom, this whole thing is completely foreign. And he's just sitting there and he's just going on and saying, well, I guess this is the way things are done. And then he gets to trial and, he'll admit things on cross, whatever. He's very honest. I certainly got that impression. He was very honest. He